Welcome, everyone, and on behalf of Del's family, I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here. What a nice testament to his life. We're gathered here on this beautiful fall afternoon to celebrate the life of and say goodbye to DelHarrington. Del's family was the most precious thing in his life to him. So I would like to mention each of them by name. There is, of course, his wife, Carolyn, Michael and his daughter, Jessica, and her son, Peyton, Sherry and her husband, Paul, their sons, Polly and Devin, Jeff and his wife, Amy, and their daughter, Megan. Our hearts go out to all of you. These are the words that Del's family used to describe him. Del was known for his amazing warmth, friendly smile, and generosity of heart, which you can see in his face in all of the pictures. His corny jokes always made us smile, and his caring warmth made us feel special and important. All too often, the moment of death overshadows the life that was lived. So as we begin this afternoon, I want to invite people to take seriously both the sense of loss that occurs at times such as these, but to make sure that we hold right alongside of that a sense of reverence and celebration for the life that he lived and the way he lived it. Because it was special, it was unique, it was heartwarming. And death is not life's enemy. Rather, it's completion, it's fulfillment. It's not a mistake, but clearly part of nature's process and of a divine plan. So to resist it is to resist life itself. Each time a family comes together to say goodbye to a loved one, I'm reminded of how precious every single moment of life is. How every moment is a gift of grace, to be savored and to be cherished. I'm sure that as each of you contemplate the ways that you knew Del, many memories will arise. And of course, they'll evoke a sense of loss. I hope as well that they can be a source of inspiration and thanksgiving. Thanksgiving for the life that he lived and the unique way that he lived it. And also as a source of inspiration in that they might remind us to hold as sacred those relationships that we currently have with people that we love and cherish. We're here as well today to be a source of support and comfort to one another. For when a member of a family and community moves on, it's a harsh reminder that the past is something that we cannot reclaim. And at those times it becomes especially important to have friends and family that can comfort one another, that can offer a hand to hold. Religious traditions the world over have comforting words for us at times such as these. I'd like to read to you from the Old Testament Psalms. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of wholeness for his name's sake. Yea, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Of course, the reason we feel a sense of loss when someone dies is because we cared for them, because we loved them. So it's just part of the package of being a human being. And again, the great religions tell us that love is the first emanation out of the heart of the Absolute, the most fundamental thing in life. So when we're in the presence of someone who evokes love in us, we can thank them for pulling us toward that which is most sacred in life. Carolyn has asked me to read one of her favorite scriptures. John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but shall have eternal life. Now I'd like to share with you a letter sent by Del's sister Helen and his nieces, Chris and Chelsea, who would dearly wish to be here today, if that were possible for them. They write, how do we begin to put into words what Del meant to us? He was the most caring, compassionate, loving person that God has put on earth. He had a smile that would light up a room the moment he walked in. He was so easy to talk to, and he listened intently and objectively when we had serious discussions with him. If he called you kiddo, you knew you were special to him. We would also joke around and know that he took it all in good stride, as we did when he joked with us. Mom tells how she always kidded him about being Mom's favorite. He always denied it, although he knew there was a bit of truth in that statement. He and Mom also kidded each other about your sister, Red. Both Del and Carolyn would not hear of anyone staying in a motel room when they visited California. We were expected to stay with them, and we were told, if you take that wallet out again, I'll break your arm. I remember going to the grocery store with them and being amused at the way they shopped. They each grabbed a cart and headed in opposite directions, filling their carts. They would then meet in the middle aisle, check out what each other had, and grab anything else that was needed. After Del passed, I went to the grocery store and actually started to cry because of memories that came flooding back so vividly. Del always put others before himself. When Mom and Chelsea were visiting last year, Mom tripped and fell in the house. Both Del and Carolyn said, oh, we shouldn't have put that step there, instead of saying, you're clumsy. He worried about his family and extended family, even when he became very sick. He made sure to have flowers sent to Mom for her birthday, and when he was so sick and knew his time was short, he also made sure that the house was sold and he was able to get Carolyn moved and settled before he was too sick to do that. He needed to tie up loose ends so he wouldn't worry. Even when he was told his time was close, he wasn't angry or feeling sorry for himself. He accepted it with dignity and made the best of his remaining time. We would call to tell him that we loved him and to check in on him. And although he was so weak that he could hardly speak, he would always make the effort to say a few words, take a few minutes, and tell us he loved us and not to worry. Del truly was an amazing husband, father, brother, uncle, and friend. The world is a much better place because of him. He was and always will be the best. Our love for him lives on forever. To live in hearts we leave behind is not to die. Now, we have several people who have some words to share with you regarding Del. First, Sherry.
I'm just going to share a letter that I wrote to my dad. You'll have to bear with me here. Dear Dad, I know you aren't with us here in the physical sense any longer. But I just wanted to write you a last letter and send you off. I wanted to tell you how sorry I am that you had to struggle so much at the end. Your strength and love were what kept us all together during the darkest times. I wanted to tell you that I will always be grateful for the time that we spent together. You have meant so much to me throughout my life. There are so many beautiful memories that I will cherish. The world will be a little emptier without you in it. I will love you forever and think of you always. And I just want to say that everybody that's in this room made my dad's world a lot brighter. And I just want to thank you all for being here.
My love for my grandpa will always be alive. Although he is gone, his legacy will survive. And the things that he taught us and love he would show, we are forever grateful, and it's to him we owe. From the rain to the dust to the stars and the sand, he will be among us daily, holding our hand. Your smile will be etched in my mind. Another grandpa like you would be impossible to find. Your life was a blessing to all you know. But I know you are there now, making your big debut. Although you have gone, you will always be together, and your spirit will live on in each other of us forever. When you look at the sky, look at the greatest star, and that will be Grandpa looking down on us from afar.
Best friend. So I just want to say that I just hope someday we can find a way to knock cancer out. So that's my true belief. And what I thought I would do is I would tell just a few stories that I've heard through the years that my dad has told me. When he was little, he grew up in a house in Cortland, and he told me you could see through the house. So you could see outside, you could see the light. And he said on those cold winter mornings, he might wake up and have some snow on his blanket. So it was cold. He didn't have indoor plumbing either, so they had to make that race out, to the outhouse. So that was kind of how he started. And when he was old enough, he went to the farm, his uncle's farm, during the summers to work, and the dairy farm, so feeding and cleaning up after the cows and all that good stuff. And he always told me, his uncle said, Del, you can eat as much as you want, but whatever you put on your plate, you better finish it. So they always made sure that he finished his plate. He told me that when he was a freshman in high school, that they didn't have face masks for football. And he said there was a lot of broken noses that year. And he said they actually got face masks, during his sophomore year. I remember when I would watch my dad play slow pitch softball, and he'd be chasing after a fly ball, and then you'd see him hitting his knee back into place because it had gone out on him. And that, I found out later, was an old wrestling injury when somebody took a hold of his leg and twisted it and his knee snapped. And so we'll have more knee stories here in a minute, but that was something that, so it was just always funny when he would be chasing that ball and trying to knock his knee back into place. Now, one of the things my dad did is he actually pitched to Ernie Davis. And for those of you that don't know, Ernie Davis won the Heisman Trophy in 1961. And he was a sensational football player, but he also played baseball. And my dad remembered when they were going to play him, he saw these guys trying to throw fastballs to beat Ernie Davis. And Ernie Davis would just knock him out of the ballpark every time they threw a fastball. So my dad said, I'm not going to throw a fastball, I'm going to throw a curveball. And he was able to strike out Ernie Davis, so that was kind of exciting. What else? So, my dad, he had told me too, and he would never say this to many people, but he was actually given a tryout with the Yankees farm system But he decided that he wanted to go to college, and so that's what he did. But that was kind of neat that he was offered that. I remember hearing about my mom and dad's first date, and you have to kind of picture this. My dad's on the porch. He's got a shotgun in one hand, and he's knocking at the door saying he wants to take Carolyn out. I guess it worked out because they got married, so that was pretty good. He had a shotgun because they were going to go hunting. That was their first date. Was a hunting. You know those parts. And I'm fortunate because my entire life I have shared, thanks Amy, I have shared a birthday with my dad. And every year he always wanted me to pick out the cake and decide what we were going to do. Again, just part of that generosity and that sharing thing, so that was pretty special. One thing that I remember as a boy is cement projects. I remember it was 4 scoops of sand and gravel and 1 scoop of cement, and then you did it again until you got that mixer full. And we poured cement around our entire house in the Santa Cruz Mountains. We cemented everything. And then when we got done with that, he decided that he would go help other people pour cement. So then he'd take me along to do that as well, so that was kind of neat too. And then, my dad was a coach. He coached all of us kids. And one thing that he would always do when he came home from work, is he would want to play catch, and I would get to pitch to him. And that's one of the reasons that I think I was able to throw strikes, is because I was practicing every night. And it's just something that I always cherish and remember. Oh yeah, that's just a good story. But my dad had the truck, he had the camper, and he decided that he was going to drive into the garage. And I remember trying to put up my hands to stop him, and he accused me of just laughing and letting him do it. So the garage didn't do too well after that. And then one of the things I remember, he picked me up when I was at San Jose State, and we were going to go on a ski trip up to Kirkwood Meadows. And I got up to Kirkwood, and we were skiing, and about halfway through the day, next thing I know, my dad fell on the run above me, and he was like laying there for a long time. I'm like, Dad, let's go, come on. And he wasn't doing or saying much, so I came up there and I said, what happened? He goes, my knee. He just had torn we didn't know it at the time, but he had torn ligaments in his knee. And I said, well, I'll go get the ski patrol. Oh no, Dad says, I'm not going to be brought off this hill in a cart. So even though he had no knee, he skied down the hill. And we had a truck that day that had a clutch, and I couldn't drive. And so we had to drive, he drove home, shifting gears and everything else, and that was quite a story. And my final story that I want to share is a fishing trip that my dad and I and my best friend John went on up to Queen Charlotte Island. And I remember when we went out fishing, it's these islands off the coast of Canada, and we actually stayed in a houseboat in the evenings. And then during the day, we would take boats out. And one of the things that I remember during that first half a day is, my dad was cutting the bait, John was putting the bait on the hooks, and I was just casting out and trying to catch fish. Well, we came in at lunchtime, and everyone else was catching all these fish. And we worked. And my friend John was not very happy. And he said, there's a new plan now. Del, you're not going to touch the bait. You're not going to put the bait on the hook. You're simply going to drop your line in the water. And let's just say that story ended up where we all brought home over 100 pounds of salmon. So great story. And just in closing, you guys, my dad's, generosity, his compassion, his sense of humor, his work ethic was over the top. And my hope is to be able to walk halfway in those footsteps, but they're certainly big feet to fill. Thank you.
Okay, I was not planning to get up here and talk today, but for some reason I found the courage to try. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Roses are red, violets are blue. You know how to do this. Why am I standing up here? Because Del, I love you. So I had to get that in here somewhere today for Del's sake. Del's caring, Dell's love, caring, and devotion to his family and friends will always be dearly remembered and will, most importantly, live on as an inspiration to all of us. Remembering a life well lived. Some people just can't help making a difference in our lives by simply being who they are. They make the world a little brighter, a little warmer, a little gentler, and when they're gone, we realize how lucky we are to have known them. Thank you.
Well, I don't know how I follow that. It was wonderful, both of them. We moved up on the hill 37 years ago, next to Carolyn and Dell. Became very close to him. Sorry. Played tennis with Dell on Tuesday nights, look forward to that. He was always good. Haley, would you come up and read this for your grandfather? I can't do it.
So we met Del and Carolyn when we moved to Scotts Valley. We found out we had a lot in common. Our ages, our children were the same ages and involved in sports. He had a slide off his house a few years later. We had a slide off our house. We helped each other get through it. Del and Carolyn graciously took my family into their home. We didn't know if we were going to lose our house that night. It sure helped to know that we were going to be okay and had them by our side. We stayed up all night and listened to the trees falling. I remember going to Clear Lake and river rafting with our families, watching softball games, our girls and wives.
Other people will board the train, and they will be significant. Siblings, friends, the love of your life, children, and many others. Some will step down, and they will leave a permanent vacuum. Others will go so unnoticed that we won't even realize that they have vacated their seats. This train ride will be full of joy, sorrow, fantasy, expectations, hellos, goodbyes, and farewells. A successful ride requires having a good relationship with all the other passengers. To do this, we must always give the very best of ourselves. The mystery to everyone is we don't know at which station we ourselves will step down. Therefore, we must live in the best way. We must love, forgive, and always offer the best of who we are. It is important to do this because when the time comes for us to step down and leave our seat empty, we should be leaving behind beautiful memories. We leave those memories for those who will continue to travel on this train of life. And so, be joyful on this train. Reap success. Give lots and lots of love. And thank God for the journey.
Well, I had a prepared speech, and it got ditched. I'm just going to kind of wing it. is like my dad. I feel like my dad's messing with me a little bit right now, saying sorry. He came to me the morning after he died, and I had this strong presence. My dad's not gone. It was so powerful. And I was in the forest, and I just had to run. I just started booking. There's this energy was so strong, and I ran as fast as I could, and I connected in with my dad. He said, I'm right here. It just touched me to the core. I prepared this speech to do, and this energy kept coming in. No, you're going to talk, because the speech was actually going to be pre-done. It was going to be projected. And then the whole thing just went apart. So I was like my dad's like, you're gonna talk. You're gonna come up and talk. So I've been involved in end-of-life care. Some people might know that for the last 13 years. And one of the last people that passed away, all of a sudden some time went by, and I'm like, wow, I'm done with end-of-life caregiving. And then I discovered a flood at our house. And then what happened was, shortly after the house was rebuilt, my dad got the cancer diagnosis. And it was like I was doing end-of-life care with my father in a way. I mean, the whole family was, but it didn't feel like anything else I'd ever done. It was, I had these moments where I got to do acupuncture with my father and massage therapy, where you'd have moments that were so still and so quiet that it was like I was able to really connect in with the soul of my father. So even as he started to drift away in the form, I felt like there's nowhere, because he's not going anywhere. And it's just like this assurance of spirit everlasting, and it's only our direct experience. We have to all have that inside ourselves. And all I can say is my dad is here today. I feel him really strong, and he's all right. And right now, he's just so grateful that you're all here celebrating his life, because if he was here in form, he'd be hiding somewhere, I guarantee you. I just wanted to share one funny little thing that happened with my dad when hospice first started up with my dad, talking about how he was really just surrendered in and let his heart shine through, like Mike was saying. Was sitting at the feet of his recliner chair, and a phone rang, and he goes, "It must be the deaf people." And I just started busting up laughing. I mean, I don't know if the rest of the family was quite ready for that, but Dad was like, this is it, The deaf people are calling. Anyway.
dream that you did too. Oh why can't I? Oh, someday wish upon a star, wake up with the clouds of far behind. We were trouble mills like the lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way
I didn't introduce myself when we began. I can't help but mention now that I'm a chaplain with hospice, so I'm one of the deaf people. I'd like to share with you a poem that, given what's been said this afternoon, seems so very appropriate. Thought to keep. I am with you still, I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow, I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened rain, I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. So do not think of me as gone. I am with you still in each new dawn.
Time for me to go now. I won't say goodbye. Look for me in rainbows, way up in the sky. In the morning sunrise, when all the world is new, just look for me and love me as you know I loved you. Time for me to leave you. I won't say goodbye. Look for me in rainbows, high up in the sky. In
Oh, someday I wish upon a star, wake up with the clouds are far behind. Be where trouble melts like a lemon drops, high above the chimney top, that's where you find me, oh, starman over the rainbow, way up high.
Time for me to go now. I won't say goodbye. Look for me in rainbows, way up in the sky. In the morning sunrise, when all the world is new, just look for me and love me, as you know I loved you. Time for me to leave you. I won't say goodbye. Look for me in rainbows, high up in the sky. In the evening sunset, when all the world is through, just look for me and love me, and I'll be close to you. It won't be forever. The day will come and then my loving arms will hold you when we meet again. Time for me to go now. I won't say goodbye. Look for me in rainbows, way up in the sky. In the morning sunrise, when all the world is
Yeah.